Hi, my name is Vanessa and welcome to our virtual yoga class. Thanks for opening up this video. We'll begin class by laying on our back, so take a moment to find your way into that position, legs long, palms can face up towards the ceiling, or you can rest your hands on your belly, chest, back of the head, on the floor. Noticing that as you transition is your opportunity to start practicing yoga now. It's not about reaching the pose, it's also about our transitions. So as you're settling into laying on the floor, invite a generous breath, inhale. You can exhale, sigh out. Eyes can remain opened and closed. And you're inviting a quick body scan here. Noticing the back of the neck, upper back, lower back, down the length of your legs, hips behind your knees, ankles, and toes. Notice how can you soften and relax further. And then intentional breath, inhale, exhale, side out. So as this is the beginning of class, as we're settling into this first restful pose, it's a good opportunity to check in with the state of your mind, see if it's busy, if it's relaxed, if it's ready for the class, if it's resistant for the class, and accept any of those experiences. And then use your breath as a focusing tool to start dropping deeper into your body. So deep belly breath, belly expands. This is the full breath you can go back to at any time during your day, during your week. Anytime you need to ground, return to the body to reset. Full belly breath, and I personally recommend exhaling, sighing out. As we sigh out, you can notice that immediate effect of releasing tension at all levels, physical tension, mental tension, emotional tension, they're all related. Inhale, powerful expansion of the belly. Exhale, sigh it out. Notice an intentional deep breath. That breath can go back to throughout your day. Notice where can you physically soften a little bit further. Relax a little further. You're supported by the ground here. You're not holding your body up. Inhale. Exhale. And then we'll start to wake up our body further. Let's invite a full body stretch, lifting our arms up overhead, interlacing our fingers, pointing our toes. Now, as you're here, you're lifting the abdomen up towards the ceiling. That's going to invite a soft stretch around the abdomen. You can point your toes, flex your heels. We tend to not place enough attention there to our feet, which support us so much. So take a moment to find some stretches there. You can lengthen your elbows for a deeper stretch throughout the shoulders, perhaps even separating the shoulder blades a little bit. You can invite a stretch up to your palms and fingers. This is an overall body stretch. You're noticing what's sore, what's open. You're also inviting a deeper experience into your body. We've just been in a space of relaxation, softness, letting go. And now we're introducing some gentle flexibility throughout the length of the body. Once again, practicing re-engaging with the body. As part of our holistic yoga practice, we're shifting our attention to our body, our breath, versus passively moving through stretches, perhaps thinking about other things. Not that it's wrong if you do find yourself doing so, but you're training yourself to return to your body, which is a difficult practice. And then after a few moments in that full body stretch, finding what it is that supports you, what feels good. And I also like to emphasize finding what does feel good in the body. That's a practice in itself. We'll start to focus on our hips and our hamstrings. So first, let's bend both knees, and now feet will float off the floor, hands towards your knees. You're gonna rock a little bit to the left, to the right, kind of assessing how that lower back feels, around the glutes as well, hips. And then release. You're gonna round your spine, forehead towards your knee, chin towards chest, inviting a stretch there in the upper back, around the neck. And now release your head back, drop your left leg onto the floor, and then lift your right leg up towards the ceiling. You're interlacing your fingers behind your thigh, lengthening your leg, inviting stretches from your ankles and calves down to your hamstrings. We can invite a deeper stretch in our hips if we drop our leg towards the left or towards the right. So you can move that stretch into the hips and glutes and hamstrings in different ways, but how you position your leg. So you can open up that leg towards the right or towards the left, or a combination of both. You can sway back and forth. If you prefer to remain static and still, you can hold in one position. You can just keep your leg long, soles of the feet facing up towards the ceiling. So I'm offering a lot of options here. I'm inviting you to understand what your personal practice looks like, meaning what can you intuitively understand works for your body, what feels good, what requires attention. Perhaps you need to open up to your leg towards the right for a longer amount of time versus inwards. It's up to you to determine that. And that's part of our goal with our yoga class too. We're noticing our bodies, but we're noticing nuances and subtleties in our bodies. See your yoga class as that time, that opportunity to let go of to-do lists, of the things that you have to do, that fluttery mind, return to the body and see how is the body communicating to you to support you in your flexibility and your strength and your balance. And that applies physically, and that also applies mentally and emotionally when we're inviting a purposefully holistic yoga class and yoga practice. Remain mindful of the breath, allowing the breath to support you as you're noticing those boundaries and flexibility. About 2 or 3 more breaths wherever you're exploring. And then bend that right knee, grab your knee with your hands, flex your left foot towards the front, engage and activate your core, lift up, forehead towards your knee, chin towards your chest, you hold here. And then drop your head back. Bend your left knee, lengthen that left leg up towards the ceiling, interlace your fingers behind your thigh. Optionally, you can lengthen your leg here, you can rotate your ankle, your foot. You can drop your leg towards the right and towards the left, either keeping a sway or holding a position here. Lots of attention here, hamstrings, hips, and glutes. You can move the stretch depending on how you're positioning your leg. Breathe into your flexibility. We'll remain here quite a few number of breaths. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Hold the pose, about 3 more breaths wherever you're at. And start to bend that left knee. Grab your knee with your hands. Flex that right foot towards your front. Engage your core. Lift your forehead up towards your knee. Remain here. Chin towards chest. Slide your shoulders down. And then drop your head. Both feet float off the floor. Knees are bent. Rock to the left and towards the right. Round your spine, forehead towards your knees, chin towards chest, core is engaged. Elbows remain close to your thighs. And then drop your head back, plant that left foot onto the floor, and then rest your right ankle or right shin right on top of your thigh. You're going to weave your right hand between your legs and interlace your fingers behind that left thigh. Focus on that right hip. You can hang in here or intensify that stretch by bringing your left thigh closer towards your belly and chest. Now it can be a very subtle shift here. 3 breaths. And after those 3 breaths, release, feet float off the floor, grab your knees with your hands, forehead towards your knees, activate your core, round your spine. Release, opposite side, left shin or ankle on top of that right thigh. Weave your left hand between your legs, interlace your fingers behind that right thigh, focus on your left hip. You can hang in here, or you can bring your thigh closer towards your belly and chest. Now that shift can be subtle. Notice a breath that begins at the belly. Inhale. Exhale. 3 more breaths, breathing to your left hip here. And after those 3 breaths, release your foot. Last round, forehead towards your knee, hold here, chin towards chest. Make sure your chin moves towards your chest to release any tension around the neck. And then release, lengthen both legs out in front, flex your feet, spine is long, sit bones are grounded right onto the floor. Those are the bones near your glutes. Deep belly breath and fold. Hands can reach anywhere, thighs, shins, or toes. Sink into your hamstrings. Breathe into your hamstrings or lower back. Down to your calves and ankles, heels. Belly towards the floor. Breathe into your boundary. See where can you fold just a little bit more. Inhale. Exhale. Release the pose. Bring both soles of the feet together. Lead through your chest, your heart. Elbows can rest on the inside of your knees and fold. 5 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Optional side out. Feel free to hear your inhale. Exhale. Side out. Notice where that boundary is. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And then exhale, release. Let's go ahead and shift into our downward facing dog. We're gonna plant our hands onto the mat. Now, fingertips are spread out. Elbows are long. You want to bring your chest closer towards your thighs, your heels, and your hips are lifted. So notice that there's not too much of a bend to your knees. You want to lengthen your legs. You can always invite a tiny little micro bend to your knees. You want to come into the shape of this upside down V. Noticing that grip with your hands. And then noticing that sort of breath that goes to your fingertips all the way down to your toes. Breathe into your hamstrings. Upper body is active. Take a supportive breath. And then from your downward facing dog, take your gaze right between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Press that left hand onto the mat, or you can rest your forearm onto your thigh. So you invite a generous bend to your left knee as you twist and lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Lengthen your right leg for a deeper stretch around the hamstrings. Don't forget to breathe in this pose. Lengthen that left arm up towards the ceiling. Hold the pose, but not your breath. And then release. Opposite side. Right hand on the mat, or you can rest your forearm arm to your thigh. Right knee, generous bend, twist up. Left arm reaches up towards the ceiling. Take your gaze up towards the ceiling, or if that creates strain on your neck, just drop your head gently. You're twisting here, opening the chest, opening the shoulder. Then lengthen that right leg for a deeper stretch around the hips and hamstrings. Hold the pose, but don't hold your breath. Release. Let's roll up slowly. Head is going to come up last. So we're purposely rolling up slowly. You're noticing weight distributed on your heels. Your arms are relaxed. There is no hurry. This is a good practice of softening, letting go. Noticing that paradox where legs are active, torso is relaxed. Eventually you shift into your mountain pose. We'll take a moment in this mountain pose, grounding here, just as the word entails, mountain. Long-term, a powerful force, grounded and unmovable. In our mountain pose, our heels are firmly grounded onto the mat. Our palms face towards the front, our fingers are spread. We check in with our shoulders, making sure they're not up towards our ears, but purposely drawing them down, inviting that strength and that stability of that mountain pose. We activate our core, our glutes. If someone tried to move us, it'd be difficult to do so. Eyes can be closed for more internal experience. Eyes can be open, focusing on one point as also an option. Notice that stillness in the body when you're grounded and strong. Notice how paying attention to this physically informs your inner landscape emotionally and mentally. Return to that strong pose, activating glutes and core. If someone tried to move you, it'd be difficult to do so. And then we'll start to shift into a softer mountain pose, palms in front of our heart, our chest. Relax your shoulders, eyes closed or open. We inhale, exhale for the day we've had. We inhale and exhale for this moment. And we inhale and exhale for the rest of our day. Soften your shoulders. So we take these breaths to invite our breath, our experience. It's a practice of slowing down, being with the body. We'll prepare for 5 sun salutations. I'll go ahead and break down the first sun salutation so we make sure we have a good foundation. And I'll continue cueing our sun salutations, but if you need to move quicker or a little more or slowly, go ahead and do that. Do make this an intentional practice and finding your personal rhythm. And then be purposeful and challenging yourself as well. What can you learn as you move through the poses? So inhale, as we lift our arms up overhead, I'm extending the spine, opening shoulders, opening chest. A slight arch to my spine as my palms touch. As I exhale, release, I dive down. Palms start to face the ceiling as I dive down, and now palms reach down towards my toes, my shins. I inhale halfway up. I'm grounded through my heels and my back is flat. My shoulders are slid back. My chin is neutral. I exhale, release. So ideally you're inhaling as you step back into a plank pose. Let's take a moment here in our plank pose. Our glutes are active, core is active. You're lifting your core up towards the ceiling. You're trying not to collapse around the lower back. On an exhale, release down towards the floor. Inhale, up. Upward facing dog, extend your elbows, so tops of the feet are on the floor. My glutes are engaged for extra support. There's a lot going on here. You want to protect the mid back and lower back. There's a stretch in the abdomen as well. Curl your toes, downward facing dog. Remain here in your down dog. You're in that upside down V. Once again, with downward facing dog, distribute weight on palms, fingers, upper body, lots of upper body strength. Breathe into your hamstrings, lift your hips. You can lift your heels in your down dog. Take your gaze between your hands, walk or jump up to that forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Let's sweep our arms up overhead, grounding through our feet. Anytime you lift up to standing, make it an opportunity to arrive to your body, to be present. Hands in front of your heart center. You could perhaps set an intention for yourself. Inhale, exhale. Moving a little quicker here, but again, a reminder, move at your own pace. I'm gonna lift my arms up. Exhale, fold down, diving down. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Step back, plank pose. I'm inhaling here. And then exhaling, releasing down towards the floor. Inhaling up, upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog. So if you want to create a flow of vinyasa, you move with each pose, with each breath. But if you're moving slower, feel free to have a couple of cycles of breath, even in one pose. That's definitely a possibility. Take your gaze between your hands, walk or jump up, forward fold, inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Let's sweep our arms up overhead, grounding through our feet. Noticing left hand press against right hand press against left hand. You take a cycle of breath here. Move into your third sun salutation, lifting your arms up. Exhale, folding down. Softening your neck, head as you fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back, plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. Curl your toes, downward facing dog. Take your gaze between your hands, walk or jump up to that forward fold. Upper back, neck, head are soft. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, sweep your arms up overhead. Right hand presses against left hand presses against right hand. Inhale, exhale. Release your hands, inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold down. Please be mindful of your neck, your head. As you fold, inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, step back into your plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Invite a generous breath here in your down dog. And then prepare for your last sun salutation. Take your gaze between your hands, walk or jump up. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. And then sweep your arms up overhead. You're lifting up to standing. Notice your left palm press against right palm press against left hand. So that's the level of arriving to this present moment that we're practicing. Invite your generous breath. And then moving at your own pace, lift your arms up overhead. Exhale, fold down. Softening neck and head. Grounding through your heels as you lift halfway up into that pose and release down. Step back into your plank pose. Once you found your exhale, release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. And then we meet at our down dog. Once in your down dog, lift your left leg, bend your left knee, stack your hips, hold, pressing through your palms, bring your chest closer towards that right thigh. And now left knee towards that left elbow, hover, inhale, exhale. Lift your leg back up, bend your knees, stack your hips, hold, inhale, exhale. And now left knee towards that right elbow, hover. You want to use your upper core strength to lift back up, bend your knees, stack your hips, and hold. Generous breath here, and now foot onto the floor. Invite a deep belly breath. Now lift that right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Right knee now towards that right elbow. You're going to use that upper core strength while you're placing weight on those palms. So lift back up, bend your knees, stack your hips. And now knee towards the opposite elbow, left elbow. Hover here. Use the upper core strength. Press for your palms for support as you lift your leg back up. Bend your knees, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor. And then we'll step down into a child's pose. Knees either close together or towards the edges of the mat. Notice where your breath is. Notice that increased heat you created for yourself and your body. Three more breaths in your child's pose. Lengthen the length of your inhale and exhale. Bring your focus back to the breath. And start to release your child's pose. Ground your palms onto the mat. We're going to take one cow and cat pose, lifting our chest, lifting our tailbone. Exhale around your spine, chin towards chest. Bring your head back to center. We're gonna lift our right leg, bend our right knee, stack our hips. And then we'll shift into balance here. Now lengthen that right leg so it's parallel to the floor. Make sure you feel comfortable with your hands. Hands are beneath your shoulders. Lift your left arm up, so now your left arm is parallel to the floor. Now you can take your gaze forward or take your gaze down towards the mat. Your glute is engaged here, lots of strength in the lower back and core. Don't forget to breathe in this pose. Inhale. Exhale, release your left hand, release your knee. Inhale up, cow pose. Let's protect the length of our spine. Exhale, cat pose. And release. Now opposite side, lift your left leg here. Bend your knees, stack your hips. We're opening hips and quads, glutes. And now lengthen your left leg, lift your right arm up. Right arm, left leg parallel to the floor. Release that right hand, release your knee. Inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine into your cat pose, chin towards chest. Generous inhale, exhale. And now knees towards the edges of your mat. palms out. Forehead towards the floor. We inhale and exhale here. Two more cycles of breath. Inhale, exhale. Lengthen the length of your inhale and exhale longer than you're accustomed to. And now release. Ground both palms onto the floor. We're going to prepare for our pigeon pose here. We're going to lift our right leg and now bend that right knee. Take that right knee towards that right wrist and release that knee behind your wrist. Now you have to purposely lengthen that left leg out behind you. You can rest here or balance a little bit on your fingertips. Sink into that right hip. You can always remain here or the full expression of this pigeon pose. Forearms on the floor. You can keep your head lifted or drop your forehead to a fist or all the way down towards the floor. You want to release any rounding in the lower back. Belly drops towards the mat. Focus on your right hip. Two more breaths here. And now ground both palms onto the floor. Curl your toes, lift up, tabletop. Take a cow and cat pose, inhaling up. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose, chin towards chest, press through your palms, separate your shoulder blades. We'll lift our left leg, activate a little bit of that core strength here. And now knee towards that left elbow. Drop your knee behind your wrist, very purposely. Shift that right leg back. You can balance on your fingertips here. Sink into that left hip. Breathe into that left hip. You're also stretching throughout the right quad. And then release down towards the floor. Forearms on the floor, head lifted or head all the way down to a fist or the mat. Deep belly breath. Breathe into your left hip. Drop your belly towards the mat. Inhale. Exhale, curl your right toes, ground your palms onto the mat. And then lift back up into your tabletop. Knees, hips with distance apart, hands beneath your shoulders. Inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, cat pose. Come back to a neutral position here. Now you're going to press that left palm onto the floor. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. And then release your shoulder onto the mat. We're shifting into a twist here. You can lift your left arm up or rest that left hand on your lower back. And then release. And the opposite side. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. And now release that left shoulder on the mat. Either lifting your right arm up towards the ceiling or resting it on your lower back. Inhale. Exhale, release. Both hands onto the mat. We're going to inhale up, cow pose. Exhale your cat pose. We'll shift back to a neutral position. You want to look over your right shoulder. This is to stretch the sides of the neck. Drop your head. Top of the head is parallel to the floor, and then look over your left shoulder. So the focus here is your neck, sides of the neck, back of the neck, upper back. You can do this though by being intentional. Looking over your shoulder, dropping your head, chin towards chest, rotating to look over your left shoulder. Move at your own pace here. Just a couple of times. And after those couple of times, you can start to release. Shift, lengthening your legs out in front. Ground your sit bones onto the mat. Inhale, lift your arms up. Palms up towards the ceiling, chin towards chest. Fold. Release. We'll start to release all the way back to lay on our backs. And as our head reaches the mat, let's take an inhale here, an audible exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Side out 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Side out. Last time. Inhale. Exhale. Side out. Both soles of the feet can touch. Different position here with your hands, arms. Hands can rest. Framing your hips, palms up towards the ceiling. Hands can rest on your belly, chest. You can also lift your arms up overhead, backs of the hands on the floor on the mat. A few breaths here, softening the lower back and the hips. And practicing softening the body, that's its own practice. Three intentional breaths here. I recommend deep belly breaths. There's room for your belly to fully expand. Reminding yourself what your full breath is like, so you can go back to this breath at any time. Perhaps exhaling, sighing out, releasing tension. You can visualize that you've moved a lot of energy around today, physically, mentally, emotionally. As we exhale, sigh out, we release what isn't serving anymore. And you start to shift out into our last resting pose, our Shavasana. You can lengthen your legs, palms face up towards the ceiling. In our last resting pose, we notice the wisdom of slowing down and doing nothing. This is a pose to release, to receive, and to integrate, physically, mentally, and emotionally. The only thing to be purposeful about here is to be gentle with yourself and to soften and relax your body. Notice where there might be any stored tension or subconscious tension around the forehead, jaw, neck, and shoulders. These are areas that we tend to subconsciously tighten up, or in the throat as well. And then broaden your body awareness down the length of your arms, from your wrists, palms, and fingertips. Softening your hands here. Scan down the upper back, mid back, lower back, the area around your tailbone. And then down your hips, behind your knees to your ankles and toes. Observing any thoughts and sensations without judgment, just noticing. We'll start to shift our attention back to our breath. Inviting a generous and leisurely inhale and exhale. Restore some movement to our fingertips and toes. You have the option of inviting a full body stretch, lifting your arms up overhead, pointing your toes. You can also turn your body to the left side or right side, allowing it to remain heavy and relaxed. And then after another breath or two, start to make your way up to your seat. And then notice, how can I be more in integrity with my pose, with my seated position? And what I mean by that is being active in your body. Noticing any tendency to drop the shoulders and round the spine, or purposely lengthening the spine, drawing the shoulders down. And then we're noticing the wisdom of acknowledging our breath. That as we notice and invite our breath, we're inviting our experience, whatever shows up. And on that note, we'll seal the class, taking our hands in front of our heart center. Let's inhale here and exhale. And in the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. May we walk with each other in gratitude.